So we're going to start off with the first very interesting question. Can you simplify transcendental meditation using your ocean metaphor?
The mind is like an ocean. That's why we use this metaphor. And it's really consciousness, which means awareness. We are aware of things. We see things. Sometimes we have drowsy. Sometimes we are very alert. Sometimes we sleep. We are not aware of things. And sometimes we dream. All of these are different states of consciousness. But consciousness itself is a very primary field, like an ocean. So it's a big ocean. Imagine a big ocean. That's the metaphor. And on the ocean surface, there are waves. And imagine a thought like a bubble coming from the bottom of the ocean and going up. As it goes up, and naturally in the ocean, the pressure is less, it expands, and then it reaches the surface. And on that surface, we realize we have a thought. We don't know where the thought comes from because our awareness is limited to a very surface value of our consciousness, our field of being, which is this field of awareness, of consciousness. And transcendental meditation is a very simple, natural technique that is practiced by even children from the age of 5 up to whatever age, 120, 130. God give everyone longer life. And it's so simple, it's very easy, and it's natural because it uses the tendency of the mind to want always for more, to go more and more and more. So when you are on the surface of that ocean and feeling just the waves and a little bit of bubbles, if you give the mind an inward direction, it really is going to feel more and more fulfilled naturally, without effort, without concentration, without contemplation, without forcing anything. And the mind settles down by itself, guided by its nature, with a little technique that we call transcendental meditation that helps the mind, when it's settling down, it remains awake in an undirected way and goes towards its own self. So imagine you're a wave and you discover you are the entire ocean. And that is what transcending means, going beyond the waves and reaching the depths of oneself. And that's so fulfilling an experience that it happens by itself. And that's why we call it natural and simple.
That's beautiful. We're going to jump later on in this podcast on a guided transcendental meditation. First, I do have a question. What's the story leading up to your first glimpse of spiritual awakening?
It's always a research. We are all awakening in spirituality by asking ourselves questions about our life, where we are, whether there is something absolute, there is something beyond the material value of living. And that's what spirituality is. It's not necessarily a belief system. It's not necessarily a religion, or it can be an underlying common denominator of religions. And actually, it is really transcending, which means going beyond what we see through our senses and experiencing something that is beyond the physical energy or the physical material, and yet going to that source of awakening, source of happiness, of balance, of peace, which is within us. And that's what I call spirituality. Spirituality is really consciousness expanding to higher and higher values. And my experience was that I live in the relative world, always change, always things are changing. And we study from physics and science that the relative, the physical, the material is a field of constant change. And one asks oneself, is there something that doesn't change? And that we can call the absolute value. And that is my really deep experience with transcendental meditation. When I did dive deeper into my being, deeper into my awareness, my mind, and my consciousness, and experience a state which is beyond any thought, beyond any memory, which is completely peaceful and harmonious, and a state of settled being deeply within the self, I experienced truly something absolute. And that is what I really call the experience of supreme spirituality. Spirituality can be on many levels, by love, by care, by attention to others and higher values, by helping others. All of these are spiritual aspects because they take us above the limitations of my own individuality, my own belonging, my own things, my own possessions, and gives us a bigger dimension of being something much more. And ultimately know thyself to be that infinite ocean is supreme spirituality. And it's really very fulfilling on the experience level, but also on the level of giving us dynamism, strength, and energy and ability to act and think in a proper way and be dynamic and creative and contributing to society also when we come out from that field and act on the basis of that inner awakening.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you a question that one of our viewers has asked, which is, what's the difference between religion and meditation?
Religion sets up a set of beliefs and creates a situation where you have laws of action and behavior, what is good, what is bad. It connects the individuals with a value that is beyond the normal, natural state of being, which is called divine or God or saints, or different religions have different understanding of that field of being and that field of supernatural, if you like, aspect of life that is stronger, more complete, more powerful, more holistic in a sense than anything. And that's what we call the divine. And so religion is to take you to that divine and gives you guidelines of how to live, what to do, what's good, what's bad, commandments, etc. Transcendental meditation is not at all based on any belief. You don't have to believe in anything for it to work. It's a technique. We call it a technique because whether you know how it works or you don't know how it works, whether you believe in something or you don't believe even in it itself, you just say, I don't believe in transcendental meditation, but you actually practice it, then you experience that inner field of happiness and harmony and silence and peace. And it removes the stresses and the strains and the blocks that actually creates filters and prejudice and feelings of separation from the others. And therefore, what it does, it clears the awareness, it clears consciousness. It gives you that very, very strong platform on which you can actually practice your religion and even understand it more deeply and go through it in a way that is based on direct experience of something more absolute, more profound, and gives you that sense of understanding without any belief, any dogma, any commandments, any kind of ways of life that are required by the traditional formal religions.
Interesting. We have a lot of debates, me and my friends. They're Christians, hardcore Christians in Lebanon, and I have found through meditation that deep being inside, the pure consciousness, which you call, and the feeling is just beyond this world. It's a feeling of pure love, pure joy, everything you talk about. And so I know what you say to be truth, and that's why I want to dive deeper. And I want to ask you the question. Actually, Ride with Carmen, which is a viewer of ours, has asked, how do we avoid self-frustration for losing the mantra whilst doing TM?
I think you should get checking. There is a procedure to get checking. And to understand that in transcendental meditation, we do not concentrate. We do not force our mind to keep the mantra or not keep the mantra. And therefore, a correct meditation doesn't mean to have the mantra all the time. And for the listeners who, of course, or viewers who do not know what is mantra and what is this we are talking about, during transcendental meditation, we say that the mind dives deep into the ocean of the self. And we said that as it dives deep, it settles down in that ocean of being. Now, we use a sound that has absolutely no meaning. It's a sound which is coming from the ancient tradition of yoga and mental yoga that allows the mind to settle down and keep going down and remaining awake in a non-directed way. Because if that sound had a meaning, then the mind will stick on the surface level of the ocean. because meanings have association. If you use flower, your mind is going to think of flowers, whether you like it or not. It's going to be associated with a certain object. Whatever you think the flower is, you're going to have one way or the other, maybe jump from one flower to another, but that leaves you on the surface of the mind. So we use that sound, which is called mantra. And the term mantra really means a tool of the mind that allows the mind to settle down, guided by its own nature, and yet remain awake in an undirected way until it transcends. Transcends means leaving the mantra, getting rid of it actually, not consciously throwing it away, but as you learn the process, you find that the mantra goes away, the thoughts go away, memory goes away, you have nothing in your awareness, and you might say, well, what is there? That is what we call pure awareness, pure consciousness. A consciousness devoid of any sound or any specific value. So if you try to keep the mantra all the time, you are preventing, in a way, this process from happening naturally. But to do this properly, there is a way to do it, and we have to learn it in a stepwise fashion, so that whatever your experience is, then the teacher gives you directions, and then if you have a different experience, you have some different directions. And that is how you learn it properly from a qualified, certified teacher. And then you can do it properly. It's taught in 4 days maybe, at about 1 hour a day. And we even have an app now that helps the follow-up. It doesn't teach you that. You have to teach from a teacher who chooses the mantra for you and who gives you the technique how to use it, and who follows you up to make sure you are practicing correctly. And then you're on your own. You don't belong to anything. You don't depend on anything. It's really do-it-yourself technique.
Interesting. So eventually the mantra fades away and you surrender into pure consciousness. So I love this. We have a question by Mike Sedul, who asks how to go deeper in our meditations. There's a question I also have on top of that. It's, what are the effective steps? You talked about the process. The effective steps to practice TM and to reach that deep end of our being, the ocean, the depth of the ocean.
The steps are very simple. You sit easily in a chair, you close the eyes, and you practice the technique based on the mantra that your teacher has given you and the way to use it. So when you learn Transcendental Meditation, you learn two things. You learn a specific sound that is appropriate for you, for the situation, and you learn how to use it. And these are steps that really are very, very simple. And of course, it's a very powerful technique. There are hundreds of scientific research studies that have been done on it, how it improves the mind, creativity, intelligence, even change in intelligence quotient, the IQ, and students having better grades. It also improves the health. It improves behavior. And it has an effect also on society, because when an individual settles down within themselves, the society and those who surround them feel better and are better. So it's a lot of benefits. And that's why it's really very minimal time required to learn it. You can't just learn it in a book. I can't teach you this like this right now or try to do it together, even though we'll try to do something, but it will not be fully the Transcendental Meditation, but will give us an experience, because Fouad wants this to happen. So we can do that. But the real experience, within 4 days, you have it and you own it, and you do it 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. And it's completely transformative of life and well-being and wholeness and sense of being truly on a spiritual path. At the same time, very practical and very effective in action and in your work and in your ability to handle things, getting more ability to concentrate, more ability to perform things in the right way. So it has all these very practical benefits also, besides the profound, beautiful experience that you get during these few minutes, morning and evening.
Tell me more about Maharishi and the impact he had on your life, and How did he deepen your connection to that pure consciousness?
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was a scientist of consciousness. People see him maybe like as if he would be a religious person because he wears the, certain clothes that are traditional from where he comes, from India. And what he brought is the true knowledge about the supreme yoga. Yoga means unity between mind and body, between mind, body, and the environment, unity between us and everything in the universe. And he taught this mental technique. It's a technique that doesn't require physical activity, change in habits, or anything, as we said. And it's a technique that is so profound and that is truly brought on a scientific basis. I like to really let everyone know that Maharishi was a scientist more than a religious teacher, because he was not a religion, and he said he's not teaching a religion. And transcendental meditation is practiced by all denominations, of all Christian denomination, of Muslim denomination, Hindu, Jewish, Buddhist, any kind of belief system that you have in the world. And there are many leaders in those religions, in those belief systems, that actually have a leadership role as priests or bishops or whatever in different religions. And they practice this technique and they encourage their people to follow it because it's a very simple technique. So I was very touched by Maharishi's scientific approach to consciousness. How by developing awareness, how by developing the true understanding of what reality is, what life is about, and how we can improve ourselves and yet be from different cultures, different belief systems, and yet have a unity within us and among us, and have peace and harmony in society, because nature delights in diversity and beauty. A beautiful garden with so many flowers and colors. It's very beautiful. The diversity is very much part of nature, part of all of that. And yet all of this comes from the same field, the field of consciousness. So it's like the sap that nourishes a tree. And the sap comes from the hidden roots under the ground. It takes the nutrients. It's a sap. And it creates nourishment for the different aspects of the trunk, of the leaves, of the branches, of the flowers, of the fruits. They are all ultimately the sap, but appearing in different forms, in different functions that they give. So there is the unity at the basis of diversity. And this is really what Maharishi has taught, this field of discovering oneself and knowing that I am the same as you in the bottom of my heart, in the depths of my being. We are one. We truly are one. Yet on the surface, we can be different. And those differences are not there to fight with each other, but to actually support each other. Somebody can be a doctor, somebody an engineer, somebody a podcaster, somebody a philosopher, somebody a painter, somebody a plumber, somebody a driver. And we need all of that. And somebody might have creative ideas in one direction. Somebody can have creative ideas in the other direction. So if we put them together, we have much more fullness. So by sharing and caring and being unified, we can have diversity be enriching all our values in life rather than the source of conflict and problems. And that is what Maharishi has brought. And that's what, going deeper and deeper with him into this knowledge of development of the self and creating peace and harmony in the individual life and in society. That's what really inspired me. And I have it as a direct experience myself rather than as theoretical or intellectual understanding alone.
What did his it's an intuitive question that just popped to mind. What did his presence feel like?
It was very profound. It's really, sometimes people ask me, what do you feel? How did you feel? What was the experience with Maharishi? And what I felt is radiance of being, very settled, completely peaceful. You really experience peace in this individual. You experience peace and you also experience harmony and happiness. There is a very deep sense of bliss, of really deep happiness on the basis of deep understanding and deep intelligence that he has radiated all the time, which means very sharp, very clear, very purposeful, finding solutions to problems. You know, you might come with two different ideas, either this or that. And it's funnily enough, he'll find the third thing that actually almost satisfies both. And another thing which was really great was his presence. And when you are with him, you feel you are completely the center of the universe for him. He really, as if, makes you feel that his attention just focuses on you. And it just gives you such an amazing feeling of being present yourself. It elevates you. And it's just that attention, which is not wavering. You can see that he's not with you and yet thinking of 20 other things, or half with you, half not with you. And that presence, as you mentioned, is really beautiful, is really grand.
That's so beautiful. I always wanted to meet a spiritual teacher that's awakened, or the closest you can get to awakening, and feel his presence. I do have a question for you. A lot of people, to feel that presence inside, that bliss that you talked about, have to close their eyes. But then when they open their eyes and they go through their day, it's a different story. So how do you live a transcended life where you have peace constantly in whatever you do?
Well, this is part of what we teach, actually. And that's very important because people ask, what's the purpose, actually, ultimately, of transcending? If it is just for a moment, you know, I feel good for this moment, and then I wake up and I feel like I'm back into struggle. And that is different states of consciousness. So that can take us to really even more advanced thinking that people take at the last day of when they learn Transcendental Meditation. We teach them about something called cosmic consciousness. And the way it works is like that. You have three basic states of consciousness. These are deep sleep, dreaming, and waking states of consciousness. These are the normal, usual states of consciousness. Of course, there are lower states of consciousness that happen if one is in coma or vegetative state and all that. But these are problem states of consciousness. Without those problem states of consciousness, we have three major states of consciousness: sleep, dream, and waking. When you transcend and close the eyes, you have a new state of consciousness, which physiologically has been proven to be different than the other three states of consciousness, which means you have wakeful alertness, very alert, very awake, very sharp, even sharper and more awake and more alert and more present than during waking state. And yet your body is in a very, very deep, relaxed state. This is why we call it a fourth state, because in none of the other states you have this state of consciousness with this deep rest in the body. Because in waking, the body is active and dynamic. In sleep, the body is rested, but it's not awake. In dream, you have a fantasy world, but also the body is actually can be very active. If the dream is scary, you get your heart rate increase, your blood pressure increase. And that state, the scientists have shown, and the first study was done at UCLA and was published in the best journals. A PhD was given for that study that showed that transcending is really a fourth state of consciousness. Now, what happens as you dive into that fourth state of consciousness and experience it on a regular basis, morning and evening, and then you go into activity, some of that state remains with you. At the beginning, a little bit, and then the more activity goes, then you are lost into the objects of life and activity of life. But you dip yourself back again into that state and come back again into activity. And so this repetition of action, activity, and diving deep, and then again action and activity stabilizes that state even during your activity. And that's what leads to what we call a fifth state of consciousness, where even during activity, you are maintaining that transcendental state within you. And that is actually what enlightenment means. When we say what is the person is in an enlightened or enlightened state, it's not just somebody who experiences something for a brief moment that is really amazing, but they are living in that all the time. And that is why we gave it this name, cosmic consciousness. So as practice goes on, that state settles down, and then you become a master of your destiny. And actually, you are more and more able to control, in a sense, the things that happen to you so that they are always supporting. And people who practice this, we hear it a lot. I was meeting with some great friends from Lebanon recently, past 3-4 days. And they kept mentioning how when they meditate regularly, they feel what they call support of nature, support of life, that things happen to them in a positive way. That luck is no more something we don't know where it comes from or chaotic, but it comes from them being settled in themselves. And then the doors open, things are easier, and there is greater ease in life. To take it to those who don't practice meditation or don't know exactly what I'm mentioning, think of the day when when you wake up after a very good night's sleep. You are very rested. You've had a wonderful night. You're really clear. And then see that a big problem can look like a small thing. Things happen to you. Doors open. People respond to you. And that is an experience that is real. And that is because we are all connected. And the deeper you are in that ocean, the more you're acting from the field of connectedness rather than from the waves fighting each other on the surface.
That's such a powerful thing, because especially now, people need to understand that there's more than the waves. And that if you go deeper, there's that connection to everything. And that connection is love. So I want to see from your eyes, what's the feeling you get when you look at other people when you're connected?
Well, you see the field, you see consciousness, you see wholeness expressing itself in different ways. In some ways, you can see that wholeness is a wave that is a little bit needing more settlement, and another wave that is sharper, another wave that is softer, another wave that is settled. But everyone is a kind of on the surface level, one wave or the other, whereas inside they are the ocean. And so when you can see the ocean in everyone, you truly love everyone, because you are the ocean and they are the ocean. Some people know it, some people don't know it. They still are the ocean. And if they don't know it and, they're struggling in life and having difficulties because they are limited in their perception, doesn't mean they have lost their own true reality. So when you are in that understanding and that feeling, you are connected with everyone. And love is connectedness, is what connects people. Ultimate love is truly being unified with everyone. So when you love somebody fully, that means you feel them part of yourself. And even more, you feel them as if it is yourself. When parents love their children, they'd give them the food if there is no food. They'd give them the protection if that is needed. When you love somebody, you want for them everything good. And you can even say, if it's to be divided between them and me, let them have it, because it is part of yourself. That is the unifying value. And when you understand this paradigm of consciousness, and I've written a book about that, it's called Consciousness is All There Is, and the book is coming this summer in August, and we hope that people will read it and understand the true reality of life that explains that ultimately there is a field and we are expressions of that field, and the field rejoices in the differences, and there is a way, a technology, a practical way to reach that field and know who we are and experience everyone as part of ourselves. And that is true love, not just sentimental love, which is also beautiful on the surface and all that. different layers of love. But that is truly ultimate love, in unity, in full unity with the other.
Full unity with the other. I saw once a video of. Are you familiar with Ram Dass?
Yes, yes.
He put a video of the fact that we accept trees, even though they have different shapes, different sizes, different colors, but we struggle to do the same with humans. And so, what's your perspective?
Exactly that.
on
That's
that?
a good example. It's the same as the example of the ocean with different waves, but they are all the ocean. The same example as the tree having the flowers, the leaves, and yet all of it being the sap. And the same thing as different trees are making a forest. And we as humans, we make a society, we make a nation, we make a world. And because we are separated, we walk separately, then the trees are, stuck on the ground. We think we are truly completely different in our essence, but our essence is the same, even though we are different on the surface. And some are able to experience that, some are not experiencing that, and they need to help them to do that. And that's why there is a technology, a technique, not a belief system. It's good to understand the logic behind it, because that is what inspires you to actually try it. But the logic itself, the philosophy itself, the understanding are not necessary. You might want to learn transcendental meditation because it relieves blood pressure, it improves survival for people who have heart disease or strokes, and prevents death, early death. It gives longevity, it gives rejuvenation. And so you might start for all these reasons, which is completely perfect. But what you will find as you practice this is that the other benefits start coming in, the benefits of unity, the benefits of oneness, the benefits of feeling at peace and harmony with the other, and all of these values that we are talking about.
I do face this problem. Sometimes I do my meditation, I'm connected. Then I go through my day, I feel the connection, then something happens, and I get either attached to an object or a situation, and the quality of the consciousness, it just goes down. So, what do you recommend as advice to come back and to go to the depth again?
Take a minute before you respond to things. Maybe not even a minute, few seconds. So when you are facing a situation and you feel that you have been drawn by it, just take a few seconds of settling back down, that you are used to doing in meditation, settling back down, and then things will be easier. But this shouldn't be a mood-making reality, which means try to kind of feel yourself as if separate from the object and try to make a mood, because this way the mind gets divided. It's neither inward nor outward. So what we say is meditate regularly, and that field of peace and harmony and calmness will keep permeating more and more and more and more as time goes by. And sometimes we suggest to people to go on retreats. We have, weekend retreats or more advanced techniques that are taught that help to strengthen this inner sense of feeling and ability to be a master of one's own destiny, rather than a football of situations and circumstances where it's the things that are outside that kick us around right and left. We become the player rather than the football. And we become the leaders of our life. And there we can have mastery of our destiny, of our life, of what happens to us.
It's kind of an existential question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Do you feel like it's us who's acting, or is it the divine acting through us?
Depends on the state of consciousness. In the state of consciousness where we are isolated as a human being, we make decisions based on how much consciousness we have, how much awareness we have. And how much awareness we have is very simple. It's like, do you see 3, 4 options, or you see 10, 15 options or you see 100 options. So the broader your awareness, the bigger the number of options you can see under different circumstances. And if you are limited in your awareness and you see only one or two options, then you are only able to choose from one or two options, even though your intentions are always good. And everybody's intention usually is for good. But what is their good versus this level of good, this level of good, that level of good, that higher good? So there is lower good, that is higher good, and higher good. And what can you see in terms of long-term benefits, in terms of broader inclusiveness, in terms of bigger aspect of potentiality and choice, really depends on your consciousness. And therefore, you will make your decisions often from this limited awareness. Therefore, we make the decisions. We do make the decision. I believe in freedom, but freedom comes with responsibility. If it was only deterministic, then you put many questions about, if the divine is doing that, why is the divine doing that? Why is the divine taking you in places where you get hurt? Why the divine does this and that? And these are big questions. It's not to diminish the over value of the divine, which is in a sense omniscient, omnipotent, but the divine, if you want to look at it from the divine perspective, even though generally I don't try to go into religious terminology and religious, beliefs, but it's okay to discuss it. Is that there is freedom. That's what we call how we were created. What is the nature of the divine? What kind of different religion describe as the divine? It's not our discussion. Our discussion is there freedom? And if there is freedom, there is choice. If there is choice, there is responsibility. And that is where we see this happening. Now, if you are in an enlightened state, then actually your decision and your choice is the choice of the divine. We call it the will of God, if you like, from a religious perspective, the desire of the divine, the will of God to act in a certain way that is always evolutionary and progressive. From scientific perspective, instead of calling it the will of God, you can call it the laws of nature. There are laws of life. And therefore, you follow the laws of nature or the will of the divine.
The will of the divine. What a beautiful saying. I've been recently surrendering more and more to God and to His will. You could say pure consciousness. This is what I feel inside my heart. I wanted to ask you a question. You were in Harvard, MIT, neuroscientist, everything that has to do with pretty much logic. Why did you decide to name your book Consciousness is All There Is?
Actually, it's because it's the ultimate logic that led me there. See, there is a problem in modern philosophy and ancient philosophy, and has been there for a long time. And they call it the mind-body problem. The mind-body problem is there something in us that is spiritual, that is the mind kind of aspect of our thinking, our feeling, our consciousness, that is separate and different from the physical part of our reality? This problem has been mostly highlighted in the philosophical arena, if you like, by Descartes, who said, okay, there are two things. Also this, has been during the Greeks, Aristotle and others that have been debated, Plato and all of that, and going back to ancient knowledge from, for example, Vedas, which are from India, and Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoisms, which are very, very ancient, even predating by many hundreds of years the Greeks and then the modern philosophers. And this question has always been asked. And Descartes says, he put this thing that there are two things. There is the spiritual part, which is consciousness, and there is the physical part, which is the material part of our life. Now, as scientists started to go deeper into that, many scientists believe that consciousness is the product of the physical body. When the body gets complexified and gets to be a nervous system, then you have consciousness. Suddenly consciousness appears. And that kind of was thought to be the prerogative or the good luck of human beings to have that consciousness, which is emerged from the physical body. So that theory is called the emergent theory about consciousness, which means consciousness is an emergent quality, which wasn't there before, but it emerges from the complexification and organization and structuring and orderliness of the nervous system functioning. The debate is still going on. What is primary? Because the dual reality, which means both exist together, has been by far overlooked and overthrown away actually by scientists and philosophers. Because everyone believes now there is one reality, and that one reality is leading to all those values. Many scientists believe that matter is primary, and they have logics for that. Some philosophers, some thinkers believe that consciousness is primary, and that there is this kind of field that is a field of consciousness from which actually matter emerges. The problem hasn't been solved because how can matter emerge from something non-material? In the same way as the problem is, how can something non-material, which is consciousness or spirituality, if you like, emerge from something that is material? And so the debate has been going on. I have researched this topic throughout my life, basically, and looked at all philosophers and all possibilities from science, from modern knowledge, ancient knowledge. And I have come to the conclusion that actually consciousness is primary. The problem has been to show how matter arises then from consciousness or appears in the field of consciousness. And that took me a long time to resolve. And I have come to very solid conclusions based on a lot of evidence and what I would call explanatory power. So a logic that has an explanation for good and bad, meaning of life, for purpose, for freedom and determinism, and all of these big questions that people ask about life. And I felt my responsibility, having come to this conclusion, is to share this knowledge with the scientists and the philosophy world and the people overall in the world, and give a new perception about what reality is, where we come from, where we go, what was there before it, what is there after it, and answer these very fundamental, existential, and philosophical questions. And that's why I wrote the book. And so all of these questions are answered in this book, Consciousness is All There Is, which in my mind and my understanding is actually a scientific book. It's a science, science is a system. Science is a system of investigation. It's not a dogma. When you say everything is physical, as many scientists say and believe, that is a dogma. Nobody has proven that things are physical. Nobody has proven that what you see through your eyes are the exact things that are out there. You see only one aspect of reality. If you look at light, there is wavelengths of light, and then your eyes see from red to violet. Infrared, they don't see. Ultraviolet, they don't see. Even though these are the same range of frequencies, it's not like something suddenly happens and it's a new frequency. It's just that our system cannot see more than violet light. And if you have higher frequency, ultraviolet light, you don't see it. So you're seeing only a part of reality. And that's why scientists are plunging into understanding nature and have actually discovered that the ultimate reality is unified field. It's a unified field. I don't know if we want to go into that, but if you take any molecule, you divide it into pieces, you find atoms. You take any atom, try to look into it, you find elementary particles. You look at these elementary particles, and literally they are waves rather than localized pieces. They have a quality that is localized, but they are in essence, if you go deeper in them, they are waves in a field. And these fields have been defined as electromagnetic, weak force, strong force, and gravitational field. For those who don't, feel inclined about this, don't worry about it. It means there are oceans, and some of them create electricity and magnetism. And what the scientists have found and are looking for more and more is that there is one field that is the source of all these vibrations and reverberations that then on the surface appear as particles that come together to create atoms, that come together to create molecules. Molecules come together to create cells. Cells come together to create tissues, to create organs, and organs come together to create us as a human being, for example. And so what we truly are deeply, if you keep doing deeper and deeper, we are the field. And so all of these converging evidence gives us very solid scientific belief and scientific conviction that we can say that consciousness is that field, consciousness is the ocean of being, and therefore explain how, that's what I explained in the book, how physicality and materiality appears from this field.
So it is, in fact, consciousness is all there is. It's the essence of it all. It's so beautiful how you said it.
Exactly. It is for real. It's not a metaphor. It's not just a philosophical inspiration. It's an actual description of reality, what we call ultimate reality, what we call ultimate truth about the reality of things and people and consciousness and how it relates to the body, how it relates to the universe.
You just brought back an experience that I had. I woke up one day and I was deeply, deeply anxious and had millions of thoughts in my mind. And I went up to study. That was in London, and I saw a tree. And I said, "Let me meditate for a bit, relax, come back to the center." And during that meditation, the voice inside the mind just shuts down, and I feel the pure consciousness you're talking about. And it feels like it's like you're reborn. It's like a feeling. It's the most beautiful feeling ever. And then I opened my eyes, and I couldn't control my smile. I was just smiling, and looking at strangers with love, pure love, and the trees, the birds, everything felt new. And at that moment, it was the most awe moment. I saw an orange bird. He jumps in front of me, and he jumps on my knee and looks at me like this. And I looked, what's happening? so, so I can really, from experience, I can say this is extremely powerful what you're saying, and I know the truth, the ultimate truth of what you're saying. So, yeah,
It's beautiful. It's a joy to hear that, and now you are spreading that through your, podcasts and whatever social media you use, spreading that experience because it is for real. After all, we live our lives through our consciousness, and what you have had is an experience in consciousness, and this has been in the past moments of awakening that has happened to many people who went on and became saints in different religions and different belief systems and all that. Think of Saint Augustine, who was a non-believer. He believed in some pagan things. His mother was a big believer. And he was walking one day like that. And he had a similar experience than yourself. And he had it again, sometime again. And that changed his life. He says, there is something more. I mean, if you can have this experience and live that, then what is the purpose of everything else? What's the purpose of money? What's the purpose of power? What's the purpose if you don't live that experience? And so he devoted himself to religious belief and religious activity and spiritual undertaking. And he became one of the great teachers of the church and one of the great leaders in thought and in experience. And so this is very beautiful. And, this is like an experience of St. Augustine that you had. It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful because once you touch it, like you said, you touch the pure consciousness. There's a quote by Rumi that I love. It says, it's a quote that basically says, by knowing you, all my other desires fade away. By knowing the pure consciousness, all other desires, they fade. So what's your experience with that?
Absolutely true. It's like you become one with that, and your desires become its desires. And that brings us to your question, which I think you are leading to in a profound way. That is when you say, it's God then acting through me. It's when you surrender, as you said, and surrendering, to the self, surrendering to the supreme being, to, in different religions, find the kingdom of heaven, which is within you. Where is the kingdom of heaven? Don't look outside. Even in the Quran, it says, I am closer to you than your jugular vein. So why are you looking for God outside only? I mean, but if he's closer to you than your jugular vein, he's closer to everyone than their jugular vein. So he is all permeating. He is transcendental, transcendental, pure, supreme. And that's fine, of course. That's the supreme consciousness, the supreme being. But it is all within us. And when we find it within us and know it to be within everything, then we have all these great feelings and benefits and love and spontaneous, in a spontaneous way, not on a contrived intellectual way, feel one with the other.
That's beautiful. Just before we finish this, because I promised everyone here, can we go through a guided transcendental meditation?
We cannot go through a guided transcendental meditation because transcendental meditation is a do-it-yourself technique for yourself.
Okay.
And we guide by, once you learn it, you are able to practice it, and the teachers can guide you, take you through the steps to make sure you're doing correctly. Now, what we can do, if you like, for a few seconds, is just relax a little bit, but don't think it's transcendental meditation. Yet it can be very profound because there are different levels of yoga. And one of them is to take us through different states of relaxing the body and taking it easy. And since the body is also a manifestation of consciousness, when the body relaxes, our awareness also relaxes. Say, if you are tense, for example, and you make a fist and you find yourself sitting like this on a fistful level, your mind has that. So you will notice that if you relieve the tension, you relieve the fist, then even some relaxation happens, and that influences the mind. So we can go through a guided relaxation, if you like, systematic, so that we can do something together, because you promised and we cannot present the promise. But transcendental meditations creates this relaxation and makes it happen in a natural way. We're not going to do it in the way transcendental meditation does it. So don't confuse this with transcendental meditation. This is very important. Yet we can enjoy a few minutes together, and we will start by sitting comfortably. So please, those who are driving while listening, or who are operating a machine or doing something else, don't do it, except if you can stop and be in a safe place and sit comfortably. So the first thing we do is sitting comfortably in a chair or on the floor, whichever way you like, whatever you on the bed, whatever, but sitting straight and comfortable. And then we will start taking some breaths, some deep breaths in and out. And as the breath settles down and we settles down, we will be closing the eyes, and I will guide you through just these few steps of getting your muscles relaxed, and you will feel much, much deeper. And stay with my voice. You might be in some places where there are noises, etc. Don't worry about the noise. Don't try to push them away. Don't try to struggle with them. Just stay with me and follow the simple steps that we will be doing. So I'm assuming now everyone is settled and sitting somewhere comfortably and is able to close the eyes, is not operating anything, and is not worried about anything. And what we'll do is take a deep breath from the nose, inspiration through the nose. And when you feel the lungs have filled, expiration is going through the mouth. Again, we take inspiration from the nose. And when you inspire through the nose, you might feel that it's your belly that is extending out, actually, because it's the diaphragm that is going down to take the air in. And when you have an expiration through the mouth, the belly, the stomach area, the abdomen, goes inward. If you see a child breathing, that's how they breathe. When they take air in through the nose, the belly expands. At your own rate, you might be not as with me following exactly, but at your own rate. And expiration, the belly goes in. So as we do that, if you start feeling relaxed, whenever you feel to relax and to settle down, you can easily close your eyes and continue taking this breath through the nose comfortably. And when you feel you are filled very comfortably, then breathe out through the mouth. Let's do this 2-3 times more. Now, as you continue breathing and at the same time settling down, take your attention to your hands. Make sure they are free and open. You're not making a fist. You're not holding to anything. And your hands will open. Just relaxed and feel your fingers, your hands relaxed. And continue to take a breath through the nose and let it out through the mouth. And now feel that your shoulders are hanging away from your ears, so they are relaxed. They're not hanging up like that. You don't have that sense of pushing them up. They are going down. Don't have to press them down. Just let them hang from your shoulders. Let your arms and hands hang down from your shoulders. There's a relaxed state on the level of the shoulders. As we continue to take a breath in, and with every breath in and a breath out, deeper and deeper relaxation settles. And now we take our attention gently to our forehead and feel the forehead settling down, relaxed. As we keep listening to my voice and going deeper and deeper, greater and greater relaxation of the whole body. Now our attention goes to the eyes, the small muscles around the eyes. They're completely relaxed as we relax deeper and deeper. They're so relaxed, they are glued. You keep breathing in and out, and with every exhalation, every breath out, you feel your shoulders relaxed, your arms, your hands. Your eyes are glued such a way that even if you want to open them, you feel they are glued. They don't want to open. So even if you try, they won't open. You don't feel like opening them. And they are really glued. You are going deep and deep. Your eyes are glued together. Your face is relaxed. Even the jaw might drop a little. You go deeper and deeper in yourself, in your relaxation. And as if a blanket of relaxation goes throughout your whole body, from the face to the arms, to the legs, to the toes, even all the way. And you feel your toes are so relaxed. It's like when you have been wearing maybe some tight shoes and you remove them and you feel such relaxation, such a sense of well-being, going deeper and deeper, feeling good inside, feeling well, not minding anything. As you go through this stepwise greater and greater relaxation, not minding anything. There is nothing that matters, just these few moments we have where nothing matters. Nothing at all matters. Give yourself these moments of quiet, of peace, where all the problems go. And now, if some problem comes to mind, if something happens, when you take the inward breath through your nose, feel the energy, the power of life coming through the nose. And as you exhale, as you let the air out through the mouth, feel the problems go, the anxiety go, the depression, the fear goes away. Again, with every breath, you go deeper and deeper into yourself. And with every exhalation, any difficulty, any pain, any problem goes away. You're feeling great. You're feeling good. And take a few moments to have that experience, to feel good and well, to feel in a safe place, to feel in a place of harmony. It's in yourself, all relaxed, more and more relaxed. And now we will gradually come back. So take it as it comes. Don't rush it out. You will just first maybe wiggle your fingers, your toes, move your body a little bit, keeping the eyes closed, stretching, taking a deep breath in and out, stretching yourself, and coming back gradually to be with Fouad and myself, and open the eyes, feeling great, feeling good, having gone through this moment of togetherness, moment of well-being and harmony. And this should stay with you as many hours and minutes and even days afterwards. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Fouad's podcast.
Dr. Nader, thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
much. You are a light in this world. And thank you for this meditation and for your time.
Thank you all. Be happy.
Yalla,
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.